Hey everyone, so I wanted to make a video about our experiences with bed sharing. It's something I've been meaning to do since for months now. So Landon got some new toys from my mom today, so if you hear a lot of noise and ruckus in the background, that's what that is. He's just really excited playing with all of his new things. But so we have been bed sharing since Landon was a newborn, and if you don't know, he is 21 months currently, and so that's 21 months of bed sharing, and it all started in the hospital. And I'm gonna try to make this as brief as possible without leaving out details because I don't have very much time. So basically it started the second day in the hospital. He was very, very fussy all night long. My husband had to leave because he was at home taking care of our dog, so I was basically by myself with him. We had a lot of guests that day, so Landon didn't get a lot of sleep, and I think that was part to do with it. So that night he didn't sleep at all. Every time I tried to put him down, he just wailed and wailed and wailed, and finally I had to have the nurses come and take him so that I could get sleep because I was just exhausted. I got 3 hours of sleep that night, and that was it was pretty rough. But so the next day we went home from the hospital and I took a nap with him up against me, and he slept fine. And so we get that night to bedtime, you know, and he just would not sleep no matter what. I didn't have a bassinet. I decided that I didn't want to do a bassinet. I was going to use our Rock and Play sleeper because I had a lot of good reviews on it. It was great for kids with reflux, and it just was, I think, safer, like a SIDS, you know, it wasn't like a SIDS risk. It was, you know, safer. So he did not want to sleep in that at all. And we ended up taking turns. My husband would hold him for 2 hours while I slept, and then I'd wake up to feed him, and then he would go to sleep for 2 hours and I would hold him, and that was the only way that Landon would sleep, is when somebody was holding him. And I know that's common for newborns, but it was literally like he would wake up the minute we put him down. It doesn't matter if he was swaddled, it didn't matter if it was warm enough or, you know, cool enough in the house. He just wanted to be held all the time. So I ended up sleeping on the couch with him for the next month because my husband was still in the academy and he needed to focus on schooling, and so I just slept on the couch with Landon. It was easier for me when I was healing and stuff. My bed's kind of tall, so it was just easier. So when I brought him into the bed, we did have a little thing that kept him, you know, in his own area in the middle of our bed, so neither one of us were near him to, you know, like roll over him or anything. But he slept great. I mean, from about a month old, he was sleeping through the night. He was no longer night nursing, and everything was fine and dandy. And sometime around when he was, I would say, like 3.5 months old, I was like, okay, you know, maybe we can get him out of the bed now because I needed my space. And you know, the thing that he was sleeping on was just big and bulky, and none of us had space to sleep on the bed. We couldn't move around, and so I bought a bassinet, put him in it. He was still small enough then and light enough to where he could still sleep on the highest raised part of the bassinet. That lasted for about 2 months, and around 6 months he started saying his first words. He was crawling. There was something else he was doing. I don't remember what it was. He did like 3 things that month, and I think just from all the things that were going on with his brain, it was just making him wake up in the middle of the night, and he was wanting to night nurse again. So I said, screw that, I like my sleep too much. Brought him back in the bed, and ever since then we have had him in the bed. So sometime around like 9 months old, I started taking him back to the bed and giving him like a schedule of like, this is set bedtime, you're going to bed by X time. And he would never sleep without me. I mean, from, you know, the time he was a newborn until 9 months, I would hold him on my chest and get him to sleep, and then I'd lay him on the couch. And it was getting to the point where I would make noise, or my husband would come home from work and make noise, and he just wasn't getting any sleep, sleeping in there. And he needed to be back in a bedroom where it was quiet and, you know, cool, and I could get things done when he was asleep. So around 9 months, we put him on a schedule of certain bedtime. He was in bed, and the way that I worked it was, when he was finally asleep, I'd ease him on the bed, and I'd take a blanket and roll it up and put it in between us so that he still felt something against him. And that worked. It worked really good, and it still works, and that's still what I do, because he still likes to feel like a body against him or something against him. As he got older, he was doing great, sleeping through the night. Sometime, I'd say around like 15 months, he started getting really wild in the bed. He was just waking up, just like fussing and just crying for no reason. He was starting to like kick us and turn sideways, and then he's sleeping in this awkward position, and he's wanting to climb on top of me and sleep on top of me, which he hadn't done in months. And I'm like, why is he wanting to sleep on me? I mean, this is, he's heavy now, you know, and it was uncomfortable. So I was just struggling with that for a few months, and then it kind of calmed down and it got better. And then a few months ago, he just crazy wild sleeping, and it was just like, okay, we are not getting any sleep. He couldn't sleep, we couldn't sleep. I knew he needed the space, but I didn't think he was ready for his own bed yet. Okay, I'm finishing this on my phone because I ran out of space on my camera. So anyways, so Landon, we knew Landon needed his space. We knew that he needed some room on the bed and pretty much his own bed, but I wasn't ready for, I guess, the transition yet. I felt like he would wake up constantly through the middle of the night. So we kind of just sucked it up and dealt with it. It wasn't until I got pregnant that it became, sorry, that it became a pain because, what, honey? I love you. Can I have a kiss? Thank you. So, milk. So it wasn't until I got pregnant that I just finally made the decision that we need to switch him, and we need to do it soon. We were originally not going to do it until we moved into our house. We figured it would be an easier transition, new house, new room, start a whole new routine and tradition. It would work great, and I still think that it would have, but I just couldn't take him sleeping on top of me. I mean, it's uncomfortable on my stomach with, you know, the baby moving up to my stomach and not behind my pelvis anymore. So I was like, okay. One night, he was just literally up all night long, and I said, okay, that's it. Gotta switch him to his own bed. I mean, I'm gonna get the same low amount of sleep if he's in his own room, constantly waking up, as if he's in our bed, kicking us all night. And he likes to tuck his hands and feet underneath my body, and I have to stay in that position because otherwise he will freak out, tucking, and it's really annoying when I'm trying to sleep and get comfortable and I can't because I'll mess up his sleep. So thank you. Go give me some more. Oh, he's drinking some. Oh, thanks, baby. So we decided the other day that we were going to switch him to his own room. We gave him the guest bed, and we have like temporary bedding and all that on it. And we're just going into it thinking it is what it is. You know, if he wakes up, he wakes up. You know, I just can't see it getting any worse than what it is now. So the first night, he woke up, I'd say sometime around like 1:45 in the morning. I was so like kind of out of it because I couldn't sleep because I kept checking the monitor and kept thinking, is he okay? Is he gonna wake up? He's gonna wake up any minute. He's gonna wake up any minute. And I'm like, okay, just go to sleep. And he wakes up. He wakes up. And I don't know why. I guess because I've never had him not in the same room with me. So he woke up at 1:45. I went back in there and he was just freaked out. I mean, just totally freaked out. Didn't see me in there. It was just like, oh my gosh, you know, where is she? And he just had death grip on me and would not let me go. It took me about 30 minutes for me to just get out of the room and ease back out. and then he woke up again at 6 o'clock. So it was a 4-hour stretch. So I got, you know, a good, you know, good series of sleep hours. So when he woke up at 6, I just brought him back in the bed with us because I knew the sun was going to start to rise, and that would probably be harder for me to get him back down asleep. So I said, whatever, we'll just bring him in the bed with us. So then we did it again last night. So last night was the second night. And he went to bed really late. He was just like wide awake for some weird reason. Probably because he had a late nap. But he stayed asleep all night long until about 4:30 in the morning. Woke up, got him back to sleep pretty easily, and he didn't wake up again. And it was such a relief. I got good sleep, and he got good sleep. I actually had to go in and wake him up at 9:45. So much better, much better. But I won't say that I regret co-sleeping, bed sharing, because I really enjoyed it. I mean, just knowing that he was there and safe. My husband was on a midnight shift for the first 6 months of his life. So for me, having a baby in the other room would have been scary for me because I'm in there by myself. I would constantly hear things and freak myself out. So having him in the bed, knowing that he was safe with me, I didn't mind. And I enjoyed waking up to his face next to me, and as he got older and he started talking, he would wake up in the morning and he'd go, Mama, Dada, Sissy. And he would just whisper our names, and he's just like whispering all these, you know, cute little things. And then the past like month, he would wake me up and I'd hear just this little ma coming, and he'd kiss me on my lips or my cheek. And those were the times that made it just really worth it. I don't really have any regrets, because now, will we do this with our second child? Probably not. Just because I've gotten so used to having somebody in the bed, and then I'm going to get used to having nobody in the bed again, and it was starting to cause me a lot of back and neck problems, and I just don't want to deal with that again. I'm going to co-sleep in a bassinet, but as far as having the baby in the bed with me, might be a couple nights where we bring the baby in the bed, but it's not going to be an every single night routine like it is now, because I don't want that to be a hard habit to break later on like it was for him. And we never got to use the crib with Landon, and I kind of that's my only regret. Because we paid so much money for that crib. It's like, okay, it's getting used for the next baby. I don't care if it's used one time, but it's getting used. But that's pretty much just our story, I guess, with what we experienced with bed sharing. And I don't know, I just felt like I was the only person who did that. I felt like people were going to look down on me for bed sharing because, you know what, that's not safe. It's Sid's risk. And his pediatrician would say, oh, you've got to get him out of the bed soon. And why? I mean, if he's not ready, I can't push him out of the bed because he's going to freak out. And I knew that he was ready when he was flailing around and couldn't sleep. So, and he proved to me that he was ready. So, I don't know. If you guys have any questions, if you're going through the same thing, or if you're contemplating it, or you know somebody else who's going through the same thing, feel free to ask questions. I felt like I had nobody to turn to, like nobody understood. And there were a few people I knew that co-slept, but nobody that I knew that co-slept until this age, you know? I mean, everybody kind of stopped at like 6 months or 4 months, so they're like, oh, you know, we do it sometimes. I have seen people say, oh, would never co-sleep. That's so dangerous. My kid's alive. My body was aware that he was there. My husband's body was aware that he was there. We had no problems, but everybody has their opinions on it, and I see nothing wrong with it. I just felt like it was a great bonding experience. I do think it's part of the reason why Landon's so attached to me, but I also stay home with him, you know, 90% of the time, so I think that's just kind of some of the things that come out of it. But aside from that, I've enjoyed it, but I enjoy having my bed back now, and I'm glad that he is enjoying his bed and getting good sleep, and everybody's happy, you know. It's not like he's miserable and we're happy that he's not in the bed anymore. But anyways, like I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, and I will see you guys in my next video. Alright, bye.